Good evening. This is Tanisha Laverne Graham reporting live on the red carpet at New York City's 17th Annual Tribeca Film Festival. And taking center stage tonight is actor Jeffrey Wright, who stars in the Tribeca presentation of OG, a film that focuses on prison culture, detailing the experience of a man who is set to be released. Jeffrey Wright remains one of Hollywood's most sought-after actors. He has set the screen on fire in roles like Jean-Michel Basquiat, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., People's Hernandez in a 2000 remake of John Singleton's Shaft, and he currently plays in HBO's Westworld. Tanisha Laverne Grant, blackinamerica.com.
See what I'm talking about? You feel that?
Same way I shot it the first time.
Nah, you had more extension that time. Follow through. Hey, go ahead. Do it again.
Yeah.
There you go.
We need one.
Hey, man. I'll let you later, man.
Hey, let me breathe on you for a second. You know, normally I ain't one to preach. I mind my own fucking business. But running with them, no future in it. Especially with what's going on right now. When it pop off, you'll be the first to get it.
You just saying that shit because you don't like him.
Say I don't like it.
Terry, it's obvious, man. Used to be the mayor, right?
Hey, dignity, self-respect, grace. At the end of the day, that's what you want to try to hold on to in here. Might not mean much to you now, but it's something to remember.
Have the incomparable actor Jeffrey Wright, who stars in the movie. Talk to me a little bit about coming on board with this film and what it meant to you to be a part of a film that is really framing prison culture and what life is like for those who are incarcerated.
We live in the most incarcerated society in the world. We live in the most violent and crime-ridden of the developed countries of the world. And that doesn't just fall on those who commit the crimes. There are drivers that are leading to this. And so for me, it was an exploration. I wanted to learn something while I was in there. I also wanted to, on a kind of selfish level, see if I could get away with pulling off a performance when there are 100 guys around who knew much more about the situation and the realities than I did. And I
What's
also
one of the takeaways? I'm sorry to cut you off. What is one of the things that you took away from this film? What's like the biggest, when you delved into the experience of this character, what's the one thing that you learned from this character?
Well, I learned more from the experience of trying to build the character, and that meant going inside. And the thing that I took away more than anything was that these are men who delivered a lot of damage to folks. Can't take that for granted. Don't want to dismiss that at all. Want to respect that. But these are guys who received a lot of damage. There's a lot of trauma inside there that I wasn't really expecting. Guys who very clearly, as they were children, were traumatized in a way that helped propel them to the things that they did, and also to the place that they ended up in, that being incarcerated. So that was really eye-opener, a heavy eye-opener for me.
Final question: what would you say to someone who wanted to volunteer, who may be a little reluctant? How do you encourage someone to be the conduit, for someone on the inside, and the outside world?
Well, you just have to, be doing something that's constructive, that makes sense, that's beneficial. Ideally do something for them, not only for them, but with victims in mind too, to figure out how we can create safer, more productive folks when they get out, and just go in and be humane, be respectful, and get it done.
Thank you. I had the executive producer of the brand new film called OG, which stars Jeffrey Wright. Talk to me about wanting to do a film about prison culture.
Well, it's something I definitely relate to. But at the same time, this was a little different because the actors actually being in prison, there's 5 or 6 cast members and everyone else are actually inmates. So when Madeline told me about the project and it was brought to me, I just thought it was something unique. So I just thought it made sense that I come and be a part of this.
So how long was the shooting process for this film?
I think 5 years. So this was over 5 years in the making because I think the prison shut it down several times. So dealing with that and other things on a project, it took quite some time. So I'm just happy that now it's being able to be brought to the stage.
Wow. What is your message to men, African-American men who are incarcerated, who seem like they have, lost any chance of hope of getting out, for those who have been wrongfully accused. Like, what is your message to them? What would you like to say?
Well, a lot of times people think that making wrong decisions make you a bad person, but a lot of people in society make wrong decisions. I think a lot of onus is put on what type of crime it is, but crime is crime. So I would just say, look, keep your head up, and at the same time, that anybody can make it. There's a lot of people who've come out and done some positive things too. So to look to make a difference inside and look to make a difference when you come out.
Okay. Is there any sort of civil rights group that you have a great relationship with who could help people who
Well,
want to get out?
I actually have my own nonprofit called NCS Inside, and it's
Okay.
men that go into prison to build relationship with other men and then help them as they transition back to society. Because it doesn't matter what goes on in your life, whether you have a job or you have a wife or things are going good, you still need a relationship. Somebody to get you through those hard times. So our whole thing is relational based and helping men in prison. It's about 20,000 men to date and 60 chapters across the country. So we have NCS Inside, and I go around speaking to chapters and different men and women to go inside prison to build relationships and help those men and women as they transition back to society.
Hi, Madeline. Talk to me a little bit about deciding to do a film about prison life, prison culture, inmates being released, particularly in this climate that we're in.
I started going to this prison about 4.5 years ago, and one of the things that I heard again and again and again was that many of the men had never seen any prison film or television show that they felt was real, that they felt actually reflected their own experience. And that was really what we set out to do. So that could only happen, with this collaboration with the men in the prison.
So what do you want the takeaway to be here?
I hope that people actually have a chance to go inside the prison walls, for most people for the first time. I mean, the truth is this is not a small story. This is a story that's affecting millions and millions and millions of people in our country. And I think all of us are ultimately responsible for that. So I hope that it gives people a taste of what it's actually like rather than what you typically see in prison.
What would you say to someone who has difficulty being the conduit between someone who is on the inside and the outside world? A lot of people would shy away from visiting prison, a prison and people in prison. So what would you want to say to someone to encourage them to, go out and touch base? And
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very easy to forget because of the way the system is set up that it's human beings that are in prison. We often reduce people to just their crime.
Right.
And what we really are hoping to do is to participate in a positive conversation around breaking the cycles of violence. And I think the only way to do that is if you work to more deeply understand the nature of the violence, where the violence came from. So that's why we have these two films actually paired. There's OG and then there's a documentary called It's a Hard Truth, Ain't It?, where the men in the prison actually direct the film themselves to try to piece together how they all ended up incarcerated.